Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Latina Mic Drop, where leadership gets honest, humanity comes first, and we refuse to dim to survive. This is the year we stop pretending we're okay. This is the episode where we tell the truth about what 2025 did to us and what it woke up in us. People are exhausted, not from work, but from splitting themselves to survive. We've been holding different identities in one body, one for the workplace, one for the spirit, one that keeps us safe, one that keeps us sane. And those identities have been fighting for years. I always think about how I used to be one way in school, then come home and be another way. And then people wonder why they code switch. They've been doing this the whole damn time, their whole entire lives. Haven't you been doing that? Like, think about it. Isn't that something you're doing all the time? Professional, but dying inside. The polished performance, right? Have that executive presence. Work this way, look this way, dress this way. The smile that masks the burnout. Smile and be pretty. That fake positivity bullshit that they be talking about out there, right? The silence that protects your job but kills your joy. How many times don't we have something we really want to say, but don't say it because, damn, I want to keep my job? That competence that gets rewarded while the humanity behind it gets ignored. How many times don't we see that the people that are not the nicest are the ones that are getting promoted? Those are the ones that are getting promoted, the cutthroats, instead of those that are good, nice people that actually think about humans. And what's the hidden cost of this emotional fragmentation? Code switching, diminishing your personality, not being your true self, changing your tone, muting your culture, not showing who you are, not wearing that red lipstick, not wearing that red shirt, performing confidence you don't feel. Because if you don't, people are going to come at you, or they already think you don't belong, or they already have bias towards you. Carrying fear you can't admit. Hell yeah, you get doubt. Hell yeah, you feel like, oh my God, this is what is expected of me. I need to send it. I need to do this. But you hide behind that. Staying grateful even when you've earned more. How many of you have outgrown your current level? How many of you have outgrown your current positions? But what do people say? Don't be ambitious. Be grateful. Fuck, I am grateful. But I also know that there's more out there. And why can't I go get it? Why can't I go chase it? Why can't I be ready and get ready and do it scared? Workplaces demand output, but deny humanity. So, what do they want? Productivity over people. Policies without compassion. I mean, the recent times are the ones that hit the most because my wife was out sick, and just understanding how these policies work in quotations, right? Based on the assumption that you're a horrible employee and that you're doing the worst and you're trying to get over. Please, I don't even have that much time where the FML would even apply. Diversity without belonging. Yeah, they say, oh yeah, but then they act like you don't belong. They take you on anyways, they sideline you. Leadership without emotional intelligence. I mean, that one right there just drives me nuts. People are not being real in their titles. They are not showing any emotion at all. They just don't have any emotion. They're heartless. Promotions without real support. Some of us are being left out there to dry with the people that we have and then expect the world from us but don't give us the support we need to get them to where they need to go. Expectations without care, exactly what I just said. It's like they want you to do all of these things, but in reality, don't even care. We weren't breaking, we were being broken. Here's the shit nobody talks about. Identity fragmentation equals the destruction of confidence. So when you split yourself, your power leaks. When you mask, you stop trusting your intuition. When you silence yourself, your voice weakens. When you diminish, your leadership identity fractures. Now, let's just talk about that for a little bit. When you split yourself, you're not fully you. So you're hiding a piece of you. You know how many years I hid that I was from Mexico? Because I was afraid of the bias that people were going to have. They were going to say, all you can do is work, or this is cheap labor, as I was called one day, cheap labor. And because of that, I stopped telling people. But then I was hiding. I wasn't being as powerful as I could because my culture is actually what makes me powerful. My traditional cultural norms are the ones that gave me the power, the ones that made me the best, the ones that had me collaborate with great people to create great programs. When you mask yourself, you stop trusting your own intuition because you're not being yourself. You're not being you. You're wearing a mask. And so you're not tapping in. When you're quiet and you don't talk, your visibility is lost. Therefore, people don't even know you exist. How many of you are like I was? The secret weapon, the brains behind the operation, the person who knows the most, but nobody knows who the hell you are. That's what happens. That's what identity fragmentation does. Then we have code switching as a survival skill we never consented to. Be professional really meant don't be too much, don't be too loud, don't be too Latina, don't be too real. Oh my God, you know how many times people say, like, you can't say the truth. You can't show that you're Latina. Like, honey, everybody wished that this summer they were at that Bad Bunny concert like I went. I didn't just go in September. I planned that from January. So I wasn't jumping on the bandwagon like everybody else was. That was intentional that I was fucking there. Don't be too loud. Get out of here. The guy right next to me was the loudest, but they had no issue with him. They had no issue. But if I am, there's a problem. Don't be too much, or you can't ask for too much. You can't be Miss Everything. You can't be Miss Diva. Yes, I can. And I am who I am. So why should I? I do have a loud mouth. I do have a big mouth. So do a lot of people. That doesn't make you bad. It makes us different, but it doesn't make me bad. Every time we adapt to make others comfortable, we lose a piece of ourselves. You know what I noticed it a lot? This piece a lot? When I was coaching. Because I just kept thinking that the other person on the other side of the wall can hear me coaching. And so what I did is, instead of speaking my voice and being the real me and tapping into who the hell I am, I would quiet it down and I wouldn't be my full self with the person. So I didn't just lose, the client did too. But then I said, you know what, the hell with it. Like, if that's how I coach the best and that's the best out there for me, why not do it? So I stopped doing that. The invisible grief of professional survival. So you tend to mourn the version of you who never got the chance to show up whole. You know how many years I did that? You know how many senior leaders I saw that couldn't be the full version of themselves, who hid their identities for years? They wouldn't even marry the person because of this at work. Do you understand what that does to a person? That because of the judgment, because of the nonsense that society has created, that people cannot show up as their true self in the office. Where morning rooms you entered, where people refuse to see you. I was just reading on LinkedIn how a woman was talking about how she was in her director role, but she was not allowed to be a director. Anything she offered, they told her no. Everything they said to her she wanted to do, they said, no, you can't do that. You know how many times people had told me no? And I still did it anyways. I just stopped asking for permission. And I won. And I got a lot done. And that's some things that we need to learn how to do. But in the beginning, we start asking all the time. And then when we ask, they think we don't know what the hell we're doing. And sometimes you just got to do it and show them. And then they'll be like, holy smoke, this is what happened? Yeah, this is what happens. Mourning the confidence you had to earn twice. I mean, come on. Who doesn't have to do this if you're a person of color? We all do. Like, it's nothing new. Just people don't want to talk about it. I've had senior leadership tell me it's going to take you just as long. No, it's going to take you twice as long to get to where you're going. You know, that takes a long time. Mourning stories you never got to tell. You know how many times there were missed opportunities? Missed opportunities to tell your story, to help someone in need? That is sad when you do not use your voice to help other people and tell your story, because your story matters. And what you have to say is 100% important. And how many times haven't you been in a room where somebody else said what you were thinking? Exactly. So go ahead and say it. Now, let me tell you why 2025 broke us. Leaders were burnt out. Employees were emotionally numb. People are working double time. They're talking about mentally exhaustion. The jobs aren't hard. It's the people that they deal with that are hard. They are numb because they haven't been valued and they haven't been seen. So why would they bother? Why would they care? Why would they do more? Why? Why would they do that? If all their leaders say, no, you can't. No, don't do that. No, we don't trust you. No, we don't want that. No, we don't think that's a good idea. So what do you think is happening to them? They're feeling left out. They're feeling sidelined. They're feeling burnt out. Is that how you're feeling? I was just talking to somebody else who was just telling me people are just clocking in and clocking out. Quiet quitting. Now I heard a new one, something about firing quietly. Because what they do is they want you to leave. So that's what they do. They do everything they possibly can to make your life hell so that you could go and walk out and go on your own and resign. Organizations were collapsing under outdated leadership models. The leadership models they have today, I get it that they were working in the past, but times have changed. The workplace is a totally different place. It's not the same. Those leadership models were based on other studies, other things, other times. Women of color were carrying two jobs, the role and the emotional labor. So we tend to do the work and also carry the emotional burden of the whole entire freaking office sometimes. You know how many people come into me and talk to me about what the heck they're going through? What's the real thing? And that doesn't just happen in 2025. This has been happening forever. For as long as I've been in a leadership position, which has been a very long time, because people are coming in to talk to me about how their job and how the way that they are not valued at work and the way that they are nitpicked at, the way that they are micromanaged is making them feel. Even if they want to have a baby, they feel like they can't ask for time off. They feel like they can't come back to a decent job, or that people aren't giving them a hard time about taking additional time. And when people go out sick, that's another one. Not everybody is the same, and not everybody does this, but it is what's happening. And people finally hit the point where just keep pushing stopped working. That hasn't been working for me for a very, very, very long time. That just keep pushing, like, we're tired. No, I'm not going to get up to go deal with your BS. No, I'm not going to keep just hurting myself. Then people wonder why people walking out, right? I'm not the kind of person that quits. So I know that things will get better eventually. And I know that I need to figure out what I'm giving into this. At the same time, you realize just keep pushing doesn't work anymore. And it didn't. 2025 didn't break us. It exposed us. It showed what the heck is really going on. The gap between performance and peace, the cost of survival only leadership, the truth that success without wholeness is still suffering. You know how much success some people have had? I've known some very powerful people that had authority, a title, and even power. But because they weren't whole, because they were hiding an identity, they were still suffering. They were still not feeling happy and content because something was still missing. Identity integration is the cure. So it's the leadership model where nothing about you has to be hidden, where your personal story strengthens your personal voice, where your culture identity becomes an asset, not a liability, where the workplace version of you and the real you merge and come together as one. When your identities stop fighting each other, your confidence becomes unshakable. I remember the day where I stopped hiding. I would never say I was LGBTQ+. It was something that I didn't like to talk about. I don't even like the labels. It was very difficult for me to talk about it. And it was very difficult for me to say the reality of my life. I wouldn't even call it a situation. And people are like, girl, that's your life. And when you think about that, you're like, damn, I've been hiding myself all this time. My cultural identity as a Mexican woman with traditional values and still living a non-traditional life, it was an asset because I see life different. Because there's a vantage point that I have that other people don't have, that they can't resonate with, but I can. It gives me that opportunity that other people don't have. It gives me that openness to differences and to commonality and to understanding as well. And here's the thing. This is what people forget all the time. I recall when I first joined HR and people were like, are you crazy? Are you serious? You want to go work over there? You want to work in HR? Like, even till this day, people say, you work in HR? Like it's something horrible, like it's something bad. And the problem is that we don't have a human first leadership. That's why people don't like the term HR. And I recall, like back then, 2019, I used to say, like, let's bring the human back to human resources, and let's bring the people back. Like, what are the people saying? What do the people want? Like, start listening. And here's the thing, human first leadership is the future. Yeah, we're getting AI. Yeah, we're getting technology advances. Yes, we're doing process improvements. But don't forget the freaking human. You can't input a prompt into AI without the human first. You can't do a process improvement without the human expertise. You can't forget that we're humans first, and human first leadership is the future. We cannot lead from fear or hierarchy. My God, those people that are like constantly scaring you with like threatening that you're going to lose your job, or threatening that, I don't even know what the heck people threaten them about. I don't talk like that to people, so I really don't get it. Or that you should fear your senior. Like how many people out there are scared? Oh my God, you went to talk to the executive director? Oh my God, that must be so hard. No, it's not. It's actually not. Like, we cannot lead from fear or hierarchy. Like, you can't lead. You know how many people use their position and their titles to make people do stuff? That's not leading. That is not leading. That is not leading. That is not what you call a leader. We cannot expect output without honoring the human behind it. Humanity is now the competitive advantage. Yes, 100%. People don't want fake. People want real. People want truth. People want transparency. Emotional intelligence is now strategy. So you're not just like a robot. For that, I can ask Siri. And even Siri has tonality that she uses in her voice inflection. You can even choose the kind that you want. There's so many different tones now. Emotional intelligence is now strategy. If you don't know how to handle your emotions, and you don't know how to read the room and see how other people are feeling and what's happening, that's why the impact you think you're giving is not the one you're getting. That's why people, when you walk out the room, they start talking smack and they don't like it. Or they're like, what the heck was that? Self-awareness is now executive presence. Like, if you don't know what you're doing wrong and you don't know how you're impacting people, that is not going to help you in leadership. You need to be self-aware. You know how many assessments there are? And actually, I'm getting one ready for you all, because I want you to know about the year of the undivided leader. And I'm going to have an assessment, a quiz ready for you all, so you can find out what kind of leader you are and where you are. Leaders who are whole, leaders who are grounded, leaders who are confident because they are integrated, leaders who don't shape shift to belong. Nobody wants a chameleon. You act one way here and you act another way there. I can't stand when people do that. I can't stand when they act one way up, one way across, and a whole nother way down. That is not leadership. No, 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 no. Leaders who walk into rooms with their full identity, not the edited version. I'm me wherever I go. Like, you're going to know I'm powerful. You're going to know I'm energetic. You're going to know I'm going to bring it. You're going to know I have high expectations. You're also going to know that I like to smile, that I like to laugh, that I like to have a good time, that I like to be social, that I like to be a part of the group, that I like to chat, that I like to get to know people. You're going to know all these different things when I walk in the room. You're going to know who I'm married to. You're going to know how many kids I have. You're going to know where I live. You're going to know the stuff I like to listen to. You're going to know a lot about me in very little time, because I'm not hiding anything. The undivided leader era begins now. That's what I'm introducing to you all. The undivided leader era begins now with the identity integration leadership model that I've come up with. So now listen to me. If you're tired of performing confidence, if you're tired of splitting yourself to be accepted, If you're tired of success that costs you your soul, then you belong here. We are going to restore confidence. We are going to teach identity integration. Give voice to untold stories. I would hide. I wasn't even the daughter of an incarcerated man. I would not say my father was locked up, but he is. I would never talk about that. I would never even mention him. Nobody would even ask, where's your dad? But you know how many people respect me for respecting where he is and what his life is? And you know how many people respect me for knowing the difference between being locked up and freedom? Like for me, being free means something totally different because my father doesn't know what that is. And he probably will never. Here, we're not doing fragmented leadership anymore. We're not doing quiet suffering. You're not going to close the door in your office, in your cubicle, in the restroom, and go cry. We're not doing that anymore. We're not doing code switching as a personality trait where you turn it on for showtime in one place, turn it on somewhere else. No. We're stepping into 2026 whole, loud, rooted, and unshakably us. Welcome to the movement of the Undivided Leader. This has been the first episode of identity integration. You're the first people to know about it. So welcome. I'm your girl, Miriam Simon. And this is another episode of Latina Mic Drop. If you like this episode and you think this is going to be impactful, share with your friends, share with your coworkers, let them know about what's happening. Because we're done. We're not suffering quietly anymore. We're not code switching anymore. I didn't even know what the hell code switching was a few years ago. Now I know all about it. Thank you, and see you on the flip side.